Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is going to be more about how do we prevent narcissistic abuse? So there's a lot of tools on here about healing and how you can transform your life, growing, all that stuff, personal development, emotional intelligence. Some of these videos might not be for you because I want us to have a bigger conversation as well about change, right? And you don't have to listen to those ones. This is going to be one of those ones. But I actually believe at this point in time, this is a massive problem, narcissistic abuse on the planet. Statistically, there's something that they say, they think it's 1% of the population. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it's massive. I mean, a lot of you will know in your communities, in work situations, in families, I think it's massive. It might be more prevalent in certain populations than others, but it's massive. I don't think we have any idea how big it is. I think that the system isn't helping people. It's not actually sanctioning or criminalising things that should be totally criminal, absolutely criminal, that are debilitating and disabling people all the time. Appealing to that system isn't going to work because top down there are people who actually are operating and controlling the human race that way. They don't want to solve this on the planet, otherwise they would. There's also things in the system, injustices that I saw today where it's true. Like if a female narcissist wants to take a man's children, she can. The challenge we've got, I said to you, if you had a list, like a sex offender list of narcissists, that wouldn't be the way because you'd end up with, I mentioned in a video a while ago, a play called The Crucible, which was so sad because so many innocent people, it's a long time ago it happened, but so many innocent people got sometimes hung and persecuted because narcissists are highly manipulative, right? And people would end up calling out the wrong people. And we're seeing that all the time. The victims do know who the narcissist is, but there'll still be manipulators who want to call them out. So I feel like this change isn't going to come top down. It's not going to come from the people in power to start with. It's going to have to come bottom up, as in bottom up from the masses up, which means we've got to start getting smarter about how we're dealing with this and getting out of the propaganda. Now, so that we're equipped to recognize it, discern, walk away from it, have zero tolerance for it, and we can show other people that way. Yeah? Some of the things that we think are helping us are not helping us. I'll tell you one of those things is the jargon. Most therapists are fooled by narcissists. This is well known. They like to fool the narcissist loves to fool therapists, and they often get information of how to be better. A true narcissist loves getting better at what they do. They don't go to therapy to learn to heal. They go to therapy to learn how to be better manipulators. People know this. So one of the things that holds us back is our inability to communicate. Now, so this is why I would urge you to start talking to people in layman's terms. So, the terms that we know don't mean much to normal people who haven't been through this. I'm not saying we're not normal, but I'm saying the average person, even things like gaslighting, most people don't know what that means and they don't care to unless they've been in this cycle. But they do understand, I was lied and manipulated. They'll understand that. If we can take it out of technical jargon, because us talking like that isn't helping educate anyone. In fact, it's keeping people unaware because you have to go through quite a lot of understanding and learning to start talking like a psychologist. And actually, I don't think that's helpful to us. When you say I've been lied and manipulated and stolen from, that's different. When you say I've been emotionally abused, mentally and emotionally abused, that's different. Yeah? We've got to use language that everyday people understand. Not that a certain sector gets and is now being conditioned to use and it sounds like a textbook that no one really gets what's going on. The whole problem with this is that people don't understand what's going on with you. Yeah? I've been traumatized from some experiences. People can understand that. We're so quick to diagnose ourselves as mentally ill rather than say, I've been traumatized by someone. I've got an unhealthy relationship with my abuser. I'm scared to leave. People can understand that. When you say to an average person who doesn't understand this, I'm trauma bonded, I'm under attack, it's all true, but they don't understand it. We've got to raise awareness. I've got an unhealthy relationship with my abuser. I'm scared to leave. That makes sense. People can get behind that. I'm frightened of this person. They make me feel very unsafe and unsafe to leave. People will get it. So it's not for us just to... It's not that you have to change everyone in your world. It's that part of the isolation is that we're not communicating this in a way where we're standing by what actually happened in clear, simple terms, that people can relate to us, actually. Yeah? If we can do this, I think we've got to change it bottom up. We've got to have a zero tolerance. You see, if it starts us calling people out, then everyone's going to call people out that are innocent. That's not going to work. But if we have a zero tolerance to abuse, then we've got a chance. Because if we can discern what's really happening, like, for example, I'm being dehumanized. I'm being treated in a way that's dehumanizing. That means my emotional reality is being denied. Often the narcissist won't even call you your name a lot. You'll notice that. I've been dehumanized. It's affected my self-esteem. I don't have a lot of confidence because I was in a very abusive cycle. Most of us won't even admit it's abuse. People can understand this. Yeah? We've got to be able to recognize a narcissist. This is not a human being. What differentiates human beings and also your whole life is your emotional experience. So while you've been taught to suppress, numb out, and got so traumatized you can't actually process your emotions and feel them, that's the whole human experience gone. Because your whole human experience is your emotional experience, you see. How you feel about everything is everything, including all the messages you get from your emotions, which is your guidance system, and that will lead you to your true life. Right? Your dreams, your desires, your goals. You don't do any of that in this situation. I'm emotionally shut down. I'm finding it hard to connect to people because I've been through an abuse cycle. My partner's abusing me and I'm scared to leave. People are bullying me. If we use terms people understand, then they're going to get it. And we've got to be a bit more open about doing it. You see, narcissists don't have an emotional response. They're not human, and that's why they dehumanize you. They take what's human away from you. They don't feel fear in the same way. They don't feel a lot of anxiety. They're not scared of getting caught. They're not fearing the consequences, feeling remorse and guilt. These are very healthy emotions. The reason you've got them is because we're meant to actually get on as a collective. So the reason you feel guilt and shame isn't so that you stay in suffering. It's that those emotions are very good for you so that you don't hurt other humans. You know, if I say something wrong, the idea of guilt and shame is that I regret it, so I don't do that again, right? But what happens in these cycles is they project every emotion that they should have for their behaviour on you. You feel guilt and shame for what they've done to you. It's not yours to carry, it's theirs. So we've got to start putting it in plain English. Fuck all this psychological jargon. That's not helping anyone. Seeing it all on the internet, all these terms and labels, and what kind of narcissist is it? It's not that hard. There's basically three main types, right? Covert, overt, malignant. Malignant is just how evil they are. There is depth to their sociopathic, psychopathic capacity. Overt, they're an extrovert. Covert, they're an introvert. Very simple, really. We're spending all this time in all this jargon. We're getting caught up in it. Rather than just, when you say in plain English something that happened, people understand you. And I feel like, even for your children, for your friends, for people in your community that are not narcissists, to understand you, you've got to put it in plain English. I was abused and manipulated. I was stolen from. I was bullied and harassed. People understand that. When you start talking technical stuff, it's fine. But when people outside of it won't understand you, and then you're isolated, and we think it's this really complicated thing, it isn't. It's very simple. And people will understand it. The more we understand how to talk about it better, right? Recognize it, talk about it, and do it in a way where people can connect to you, because we're not supposed to just be in this subsection. I think this is a huge problem on the planet. I think there are way more people going through this than we possibly know. It's not 1% of the population. That to me is an absolute joke. That is absolutely a joke. But until people do not tolerate it on the ground, do not tolerate it, we're going to be endorsing it. The system is endorsing it right now. It's not really protecting people in the way it should. So to change it, it's got to start ground up, not top down. Us being able to communicate it clearly, standing in our truth clearly, coming out of the illusion clearly, and not tolerating it in our society, in our community. Even with friends, I would still say, if someone is abusing me and someone wants to be friends with that person, I would say, that person's been abusing me, I cannot be your friend anymore, if you choose to be friends with them. The less we tolerate it, the more it will change. And then the more the top of it will have to change. It's going to be ground up, not top down. All right, my loves, lots of love. I'd love your views. I'll speak to you soon.